And a quick announcement once more. Next week, you will have the midterm exam next Wednesday, a week from today, same time, 6:15 to 7:45, so 90 minutes testing. The workload, the time required for this test, actually half of those. So I am going to give you double time. You probably know how it can run. You can bring a one-page cheat sheet, so letter size cheat sheet. You can write both sides if you want. All the questions are from the slides and lecture that we had. Hands-on labs, exercises, and some of the slides. So if you can bring your cheat sheets, you can. I think you will be okay. Types of questions. Many questions in filling in blanks, and maybe couple of true or false type of question, and maybe one short essay, and yeah, multiple choice, maybe one or two multiple choices. So most questions are short answer, filling in blanks. Of course, this will be a closed book, in-person testing class. So you should come the classroom where we used Meet, Manhattan 425. Okay. Yeah, today is online on Zoom. I think this is it for quick announcement. Any question regarding your midterm exam? How many questions? I think not more than 20 questions. What does it mean? That some questions weigh maybe 10 points out of 100, which is big, right? Some questions maybe 5 points. I didn't make any questions yet. So it's about 20. I should not say not more than 20. So around 20. It could be 15, it could be 25 or 30. If I give you more questions, then the weight for each question is a little less. So even if you fail one question, it doesn't affect you much. But if I give you a small number of questions, then each questions may be the killer. So I would not try not to. Okay, so about 20 questions. I would say 15 to 30. Any other questions about midterm exam? If you have any issue, you should let me know before the test date at latest. In that way, you could get some I'm not sure how I can make makeup exam, or I may, if you can do within a week. But other than that, if it is a longer, then we need to discuss. So all your notification may be able to help you. Other than that, cannot. Khan raised the hands. Oh yeah, go ahead, Khan.
Hi, Professor. Is the test going to be um, multiple choice question, or is it going to be
Yeah, you
involving
just
coding?
missed the yeah. Multiple choice, very few. Uh, Many questions are filling in the gaps. Okay, blanks. I can give you blanks, and for example, I give you one sentence. Fill in the blanks to make it sense. Or
Okay.
if we have a few hands-ons, right? So if I ask you, um, for example, today's lecture, we have permission uh, uh, management, permission of the file, actually, yeah, permission to a file, and ownership and permission, so that uh, the user can read, write, or execution of a file in Linux. Then, then I may ask you a couple of questions from that permissions. Uh, if I use filling in the blank type of questions, then I may say blank can make user A to read file B, for example. Then you need to fill in the blanks. There's a more technical questions, right? Or I can simply two types of questions as well. If I issue this command, then uh, this will uh, takes place. True or false. From if I ask some questions from hands-on. Other than that, our slide gives you some of the concepts, and uh, I know some slides uh, covers uh, a very difficult the terminologies. To explain one terminology, we may take a couple of hours, and the level of their understanding also vary. Therefore, it could be much longer. Um, Many cases in our lecture, we simply use the terminologies. So I may not ask you what that, if we don't say anything in class, I do not ask you what is, what is that, uh, uh, the terminology means. But in some of true false type questions, or any type of questions, I may use that terminologies without asking you to explain it. So somehow that comes from the slide anyway. Okay. Any questions? Anything before we jump into the lecture that I prepared for today? All right. Then close this. And I think this is.
Yeah, Professor, I got one question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so what kind of topics are we expecting from the midterm exams?
Everything from the first class till today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As I said, it is not comprehensive, but it covers everything. Okay. Comprehensive means, although we don't say in class, something that you're supposed to know, then you need to know. And I may ask a question, although I didn't touch in class because that is assumed. That type of question is but I'm not asking that. Okay. Hardening Windows systems. We don't do much about Windows in this class. Uh, and also, four-year colleges do not do much about Windows. Usually, Windows operating systems are considered and discovered much in two-year colleges. There are so many different courses all in Windows. Okay. If we are saying about operating systems, then operating systems not something specifically from Windows, but operating systems in general. What that means is that it could be more applicable to Linux or at least to Mac OS. File system security will cover that, and file permission, as I said, that will be our hands-on exercise today. And then there are some protocols that you may need to transfer. There are also quite a few data transfer protocols. So we'll look at that also on our VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox. So last two bullet points uh, will be discussed on VirtualBox. When I do this, this covers my entire screen hides something, so I want to make it smaller. So it is not hidden by anything from my cards. Okay. Hardening. There's a process of increasing the security of devices and software. We looked at this earlier. For example, when you install software packages, then uh, most of the packages has default password. I wanted to recall last week we installed Ubuntu operating systems on Oracle VirtualBox. And Oracle operating systems ask you to create a user ID and password. And you are the only one user, by the way, because you are the person who installed. But if you want to install further from that point, of course, the user ID that you created is not in sudoers list. The ID that you just created does not have super user privileges. Super user privileges can be done can be granted by the user who could do what super user can do, which is sudo. But you do not know root password, super user password, right? But we learned how we can do that, right? At that point, if you do not you simply use the SU and the root. Then it asks you to enter the password. At that time, you can enter your password. Then you will get the root privileges at that point. There's some weakness there, right? That is somehow privileged. The vulnerabilities. So what should we do? Then you can change the root password. You need to change the root password there. How can you change the root password? There is another the command called the passwd, password root. If you are sudo, then you can change the root password. We didn't do at that time, right? That type of things is security holes, vulnerabilities given by default from the developer. So you need to change all such things. That is kind of hardening, okay? So harden a specific hardware device or software running on the device. Any privileges given to default user needs to be changed. So either you can disable the default users to do any actions on your device or on your software. So a lot of things that you need to do hardening your hardware and software. Recommended hardening. So from this slide, we can say trusted operating systems. Then we need to do trusted operating system is an operating system that comes hardened. So you need to make a trusted operating systems from the given default operating systems and validated to a specific security level as defined in the common criteria for the information technology security evaluation. Many TOS provide sufficient support for multi-level security. What that means is that a system in which multiple levels of classified data reside within the same system, but users are not permitted to access data at different classification levels. That is operating system levels of user access control. Access control in operating systems is not the same as access control in database or other sophisticated the applications. So database management system is one of the complicated application systems. So access control mechanisms built in database management systems is a lot advanced, more advanced than access control in operating systems. So in operating systems access control, what mechanism that we use? We set up, well, actually there are only 3 actions in operating systems: read, write, and execution. Only 3 actions: read, write, or executions. For those read, write, or executions, we need to assign to each objects, which is a file in Linux operating systems. So we can say, hey, this file can be read, can be written, can be executed by owner. So there is a different levels of users. In particularly Linux operating systems, there are three levels of users. Owner is the user. And then group, where that owner is, where a user is included. So individual user, and then a group. If we apply that to the university environment, then user is just user, okay, Jae-yoon. And then Jae-yoon can be included in a group called faculty or a student. So group is another level of users. And third level of users is anyone. Anyone in that system, in that operating systems. So we have three different level of users. That is a subject. Think about that. Access control is a subject, object, and actions. Subject, three different levels. Objects, objects is it's just a file. And actions, read, write, execute. Three different kinds of actions. So we can map among those. So Jae-yoon is granted to read file called homework1.docx. There's a file, right? But Peter cannot read that file. All those things needs to be defined in a system. Okay, so as you create a file, there's a default permissions. Whether was you why don't I start because it is not okay. I'm not virtual box. Where is here? I better use virtual box. I am going to start. Okay, Ubuntu 02. Okay, while it is being done, let me go to next slide. Control login. To control login and to control access to a system, you can limit the privileges. So these things I already explained in so many different ways, right? Password, authentications, and user smart card. So some of the things usually, recent the MacBook, maybe a fingerprint reader is already implemented. So if you touch your finger to that button, then you can understand who you are, right? So there are many different ways to verify who you are, for example. And then user configuration baselines. Configuration baseline is a set of consistent requirements for a workstation or server. So the consistent requirements, basic requirements set, that is the baselines. I explained that last week or week before. Every time, if you are working at a data center to manage, for example, thousands of workstations alone, then checking every single systems takes longer, almost impossible to check multiple thousands of workstations alone by yourself. Particularly if there is a evidence that your infrastructure was attacked by unknown. Then first thing that you need to check is the baselines of each systems. Is there the baseline is still sound? If it is then you can now do something more after that. So if baseline is broken, then that is a big problem. So baseline is always very, very important. That is a consistent requirements, should be always sound. So how can we check the baseline very quick for multiple thousands workstation? Then, as I said last time, you can make a baseline hash code. So once you have a hash code that verifies all the integrity, digest integrities, that generates a one unique hash code. So having that hash code, you can check with you can save that hash code, for example, when you close your system last night. And this morning, very early this morning, then you can check. You need to generate another hash code and compare to hash code. If there is anything, if two hash codes are exactly the same, then nothing happens over the last nights. Okay, so that is the basic thing that you could. So terminal. So if it type ls minus l, then it gives me, for example, ls means list. So list of files in the current directory. Current working directory is /home/jun2. This is my login ID, and I am under home directory. So I have this many files. Unlikely the Windows systems, Linux operating systems or Unix, everything can be treated as a file. Even if that is a directory, that's nothing but a file. So although there is some indicator, D, starting with the D, then this is I wanted to read this. D, so all the files here starting with the D. What that means is that these are all the directory, not any single files. Followed by 3 times of RWX, 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 and RWX. Some of those, rather than spell it, it has a dash. So when it comes to dash, means that particular action is not granted. So first RWX, triple RWX. So read, write, and execution. Read, write, execution actions are granted to Jyun2. This is owner. First triple characters are the actions, action list given to Jyun, owner. And then next triple given to the group. So this is the owner, this is the group. Actually, I didn't do anything, but you can make a group if you want. But we do not learn here the Linux operating systems, right? So we don't go further. There's too much. So I am still explaining to you what it is, right? This is a user and this is a group. And then this is the size of the data, and this is timestamps from here, there. And then ending with the file name. So this file name, that is the directory D. This directory can be read, can be written, and can be executed. What does that mean? The execution of a directory. Execution of a directory means I can open it. Okay, I can change the directory into that direct. I can change. I can open that directory. I would say that. Okay, there's executions. So one of just a small. Let me see if I can maximize. Winston's chat. Let's see what it is. Professor, can you please record the lecture? Oh yeah, I am currently doing recording. No worry. Okay. Anything that I can do? Resize. No, font size. Let me see if I can not by. I know there's a command to manipulate the size of this windows, but we're not going to do that here. But anyway, it's small. That's fine. So one of the things that we have here, maybe we can make some directory. Okay, mkdir, and then we can say 230. That is this course number. So I made it a directory. So 230. So by default, the user can read, write, and execute, and group can read, but no write. Read and execute. Oh, group can write also. The others or public, anyone in my systems can read and execute, but the write permission is not granted. That's what it means. Myself, I can change it. So execution, I can change the directory into 230. So that is me, right? And I want to make a file very quick by using touch mechanisms. I would say homework 5. Then I have a file name called homework 5 by default. If you see here, the first letter is not like D here, but it is just the dash. What that means is that this is not a directory. This is just uh, the leaf node in that file tree structure, which is simply a primitive file. It doesn't contain any additional files in itself. And this file can be read-write, but no execution. Of course, this is a file, then there is no executions. But if this file is an executable file, you need to make this execute. Then that file can be executable. Okay. And then read-write dash and publicly read-only. That is what this file means, right? So we can change these things using some of the command, but we will look at that a little later. Baselines. So what is the baselines? Identity common configuration baseline that should be applied to all or a group of systems. So we know what is all, what is group, right? All means anything publicly, anyone, that is all. And then this is some privileges to the group, but anyway. So use security templates to quickly apply security baseline settings. Security template is a saved set of configuration values that produce the system configuration as specified in the configuration baseline. When you apply the security templates to a system, the settings within the templates are applied to the systems. So when you create for example, a user, if you want to create a new user, then the template is used to create a new user. If there is no templates, then even if you are a root and therefore root privileges, there are a lot of things that you have to do when you create a user. To help that example, then template is already ready. So as you create a user, that template is given to you. So when user is first created, then particularly in Linux, then what kind of shell that user can run. If it is the C shell or Bourne shell, then shell means some of the operating system shell, because we may have a few different shells that we can assign to a user when we create a user. So depending upon that, all different kinds of templates applied. Therefore, when I come here first, then what is the templates automatically given? This type of files are templates already given. Dot profile, anything that, not everything, but anything any file starting with a dot, then among those dot files, there may be some files generated from templates. Template is also one of the major the features of baselines. So you can quickly apply setting to one or more computers, configure consistent security settings, not only those things, profiles, it has some security issues, and bash RC. So when bash shell is created, then what that means is that when user log in, what type of things needs to be ready for the user when user comes in. All those settings written in this file, and there is a primitive standard baseline commands in that file. So if you want to see that file, then more is another command. So if we want to see what it means, then I'm not going to use more. I'm going to use cat. Gianni has a cat, so I'm going to use cat. Cat means cat catonates. So you can display all the content in that files. If I say more, then it can bring up one page amount of content. So page by page. If I use a cat command, then everything at once. So dot bash rc, then I may be able to see all content within that file. It's a long list. So this is first line, right? So there's a lot of things already. This kind of things is a templates. It's a baseline. It's already automatically by default given to you. So when you first come in our system, in this sequence, all of these things will be executed. Anything, any line with a pound sign, then that is a comment, and anything without it, then that is executed. So this will be executed, this will be executed, and these things are executed. There are so many things that should be executed, right? As you enter. But anyway, that is, so you don't need to worry about this. This is something that you can learn when you take Linux operating systems. But here you see, oh, there is that kind of files available. So Linux and typical formal operating systems has all of those, particularly in Microsoft operating systems, including the following tools for managing security templates, because Microsoft is a little bit drifted away from, not a little bit, completely drifted away from the formal operating systems. So it starts from the personal data, personal computer. The history of Microsoft till early 1980s, when I was young, the first personal computer was announced by IBM. It's called operating systems on disk. So we call it DOS, disk operating systems. DOS file has a very, very primitive, basic operating systems features included. Meanwhile, Macintosh was also invented by Steve Jobs, and his operating systems is modified and minimized from formal operating systems, which is Unix at that time. So similar to Unix. Windows, before we get to Windows comes from the IBM DOS operating systems. So IBM DOS operating systems started with very, very primitive and awkward, incomplete the software packages with a lot of flaws. As time goes on, we add more one or the other. As we add more, another problem created and solve it. In order to solve it, we add something else. Then more problem comes. It goes about maybe about 10 years. And then Microsoft company was founded by what is his name? Bill. What is his name?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates, yeah, founded Microsoft, and Microsoft adopted that IBM operating system starts and put the graphical user interface there. It was about late 1980s. Late 1980s, Macintosh started with the graphical user interface from the beginning. Graphical user interface is up front. Underneath, there is a Linux operating systems was running. So that idea was also applied to IBM DOS. So they created a graphical user interface that is called the Windows. So Windows was a little bit more solid in early 1990s. Early 1990, yeah. And then it improves a lot from that time. So actually, still Microsoft to Windows systems, operating systems is not the same as Linux. Linux goes in the formal operating systems mechanism, and Windows somehow still tweakings. Security template, the snap in, which creates and edits templates. You can obtain security templates from various sources, including the NSA. NSA is worrying about Windows a lot. But if you want to learn security, then NSA recommendation is the Linux operating systems. That is more solid, and it is nothing but a server. Linux, when it comes to Linux, Linux is a server. Windows, there is the Windows, the user level. There is a Windows server, all different kinds of things, right? So the Windows that we use daily basis, are not the servers, right? This is simply client version of a Windows. It's not the case in Linux. Linux always service server. Yeah. So Microsoft is a little bit still has problems. Management software, you have to harden the management software. Tips for managing software is to check that all software are up to date. Okay. Updating software in the Windows is really tedious and time-consuming Windows systems. But Linux is really handy, right? You can do, for example, sudo update. There are two commands, update and upgrade. Upgrade, update is, the Linux operating systems has repositories available. So depending upon which repositories that you are using, because the repositories or websites, I mean, the repository itself, that server may or may not be available at any point in time. So if we want to upgrade, then you need to first update. So which repositories that you want to use. So sudo update, then update, it's not possible here. Command upgrade and update is not possible. apt. There's no package updates, upgrade. Strange. Let's check. How to update first. Update is not installed by itself. Oh, we need to apt update. I'm sorry. Yeah, we need to use apt update. Yeah, it is being updated. This is repositories, right? These repositories are is now updated. Once it is updated, then we can do upgrade. Upgrade takes longer time. But anyway, the software needs to be updated and upgraded. Install security software such as antivirus, anti-spyware, anti-rootkit firewall. That should be also maintained. Those are the softwares, right? Install any needed software. avoid installing freeware. If there is some freeware, if we do not trust it, if there is not sufficiently valid software packages, then you need to purge that files. And reduce attack surface of the device by limiting the application and service running on the device, removing unnecessary software features and non-essential services. Particularly if some applications running as a server, then you need to be very careful to check anyone logging in from remotely. Determine the dependencies of the software. Software packages needs to learn depending upon something. Then this is the first time that takes time. So another thing that you need to do once you update it, then you need to do upgrade. apt upgrade. Then all the packages can be upgraded. If there is any new versions of software, any software that you already installed, but currently new versions available from that updated repositories, then my current software will be upgraded. That is what we do here, right? So first you need to update and then upgrade. Update usually takes a short time, but our case, the first time, so it takes a little while. Upgrade takes always longer time. It depends on the packages, software packages installed in the current system. Right now, we didn't install anything, right? Only default software packages available. But as we install more and more, then the upgrade time to upgrade such softwares takes time, and that time is added to that upgrade time. Determine, yeah. So the example of non essential services is file transfer protocol, telnet, SNMP. SNMP is a mail server. DNS services, ICMP. If you have ICMP services protocols available, then someone can check your internet connection management protocols. So when you remotely enter a system, then firstly check the ICMP. Using the ICMP protocols, see if that server is available and up and running. Then your access request comes into that systems. So anything that you need to talk to others is start with the ICMP protocols. So that's the starting points of the protocols. If you do not want any potential attack, if you do not want any potential attack, then you need to avoid that ICMP. All those things needs to unessential services needs to be. You need to be very carefully check and then avoid it. So telnet, for example, telnet is typical. This is a very weak and vulnerable protocols For example, Telnet 400. Telnet is not usually available by default. But if you accidentally, if you come in any operating systems, Linux operating systems, and see if there is a Telnet available, guess what? From there, you can generate fake emails. Though no one knows if it is a fake, if you use Telnet protocols. I can make that demonstrations if Telnet is available, but usually Telnet is not available. But about 10 years ago, when I teach, for example, some cybersecurity course or operating systems, then I can use Telnet and I can send out email to anyone. Fake email means I can say Joe Biden from White House. It is possible. How bad it is, right? That is criminals. So Telnet is not available these days. Use a standard operating systems environment like TOS, Trusted Operating Systems, standard. Managing update. So you need to update. Update types, hotfix. Hotfix is a quick fix for a problem. Normally, you install a hotfix only if you have a specific problem it is intended to fix. So hotfix are typically made to address a specific customer situation and possibly may not be distributed outside that customer organizations. Commonly used to address friendly discovered security holes. There's a hotfix if that fixation is needed. Another thing is a patch. This is more common. These days, given a software packages, and later, if that packages is found to be vulnerable to particular actions, then that action needs to be prohibited. Therefore, patch program is developed. So we install the patch, right? That comes to both the Microsoft and Linux operating systems. That includes previous hotfixes that the manufacturer has thoroughly tested for mass deployment. The patch includes fixes that should be applied to a wider audience. And patch, the best place to obtain updates is from the manufacturer's website, of course. And service pack is a collection of patches, hotfixes, and other system enhancement so that your system will be up to date in every aspects. Use patch management activities. Patch management activities includes determining patches that are needed on the systems, testing patches in a lab environment to identify the effects of applying the fixes. So patch, so management activities. So audit, after the patch is complete, then audit is another things that we have to consider. So update is done. So many things can be updated. For example, yeah, all those files are updated, right? use patch management software. So if we want to update, then patch management software you may use. If you do not know command line management skills, then use the software. Windows system has such things also. Windows Software Update Services is a patch management tool that allows clients on a network to download software updates from that services server internal to their organizations. So WSUS server receives a list of available updates from Microsoft. So idea is very similar to the Linux, right? So Linux, we first update the repositories. That is something like here, WSUS. On the WSUS server, you identify allowed and required patches for your organizations. Client downloads only approved patches from an internal WSUS server or directly from Microsoft. That is the upgrade like we did here. And then test patches. So once it is patch is installed, then apply and test patches in a lab environment. And then deploy patches to other systems as well. Okay. So in that way, from the baseline of your infrastructure, you can update and upgrade the softwares. And then there's a file system security, prevent physical access, implement the principle of least privileges, use full disk encryption and backups. We don't do yet here encryption and backups today. Implement strong authentications and remove unnecessary software and disable unused services. Use implicit deny access control list and hidden folders and files. Hidden folder, remember that here, if you say here ls minus l, then you can list only the files and folders, right? But hidden files in Linux available if you say ls minus a. Minus a means all. If you want to see all, then there is a hidden files. So anything starting with the dot, then that is hidden files in Linux. Windows systems, then for each file property, in the file property, you need to check if you want to hide that files. There's a pop-up Windows available. You can do that. Okay, big data storages. They are so-called NAS big data and SAN big data. We're not going to do much about that. And then file data transfer security protocols. Typically FTP is available, but FTP is, see if FTP works. Oh, FTP works. Then FTP is anonymous login, allows unrestricted access to FTP server. disable anonymous login to control access based on username. So this is insecure, typical FTP. Therefore, there's another similar thing is trivial file transfer protocol. But this is a little bit secure. Secure copy protocol. Copy, there's nothing but you want to transfer data to others, right? There is a command called copy if you want to copy, right? So, for example, 230, if you go into 230, there's a file. You can enter some files there. I'm going to use VI mode, so you don't have to worry about things that I enter some here. But let's say if I want to copy this and then save here, oops, it's not copy. Oh, wait a minute, because I didn't do anything. Oops, still. Cut, paste. This is not copied. Copy, link to highlights, copy. I want to create that here. We don't need quick links now. Paste. It's not pasted. Okay. Okay. I want to add some paragraphs in this file. And then we can save it. And if I want to see more, then HW file contains that, right? So if I want to copy it, then copy HW5 to HW5B. Then I can have two files available, HW5 and HW5B. This, I want to start another so that I want to make a file transfer protocol from one server to another server. Meanwhile, okay, so secure server, we already set the secure server. So using the secure server, we can do secure shell file transfer protocols, SFTP protocol. SFTP is a file transfer protocol that uses a secure shell to secure data transfer. So secure FSTP is not FTP that uses SSH, but rather secure transfer protocol that is different from FTP. So secure FTP is a secure FTP tunnels FTP traffic through SSH. So SFTP, secure shell file transfer FTP, SFTP is not the same as secure FTP. But we use this secure shell file transfer protocol usually. There are so many different protocols. Looks similar, all of this, but first two items, not secure, right? File still. This guy is okay. File permission. So we can create a user. So let's create a user. See how we can do, because there is a example. So what you need to do is you need to do sudo, because you are not a root, right? Sudo user add -h, then which shell that you want to use. So I want to use in binary and bash shell, and group ID group. Well, we need to first make a group. If you want to use this group ID 1004, then you need to create a group, user add and group add. So before we do this, we need to do sudo group add group 1004 say faculty. Then group is available. So user add minus a shell that comes from bin and bash. So I want to make another terminal. I want to show where this bin and bash. Let's see. Terminal. Oh, this is that once. Can I use more? I think probably this creates more terminals. Okay. So I made a fork. This is new. Or two terminals comes here. This is something that I used to. So I want to put that before that. This is a new. And where's bash shell files available? Then if you go all the way up binary directory, then there is a bash available. So I am using bash shell. There is a bash shell is. So bash, and then my group is 1004 faculty. I want to make -m make that user, and user ID is 1000 100 for example, -c. I believe that is my customer name. So Jayun and then customer name is simply Jaeyun. User add permission denied. Oh, permission. I do not have. Oh, yeah. I need to do sudo. So sudo, and Jaeyun is created. And then here, if I want to go to Jaeyun, then I can do Jaeyun is not created. Let's see. Go to Jaeyun. SSH. SSH not resolved the host name. Yeah, temporary. Let's see. But we'll do that later. I think we need to do, yeah, sudo needs to put the Jaeyun's password. So we'll do password Jaeyun. Then I can initially say Jaeyun. So that is a Jaeyun password. Jayoon, Jayoon. Sorry, password do not match. Jayoon, 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 Jayoon. Okay, so Su Jayoon. I want to go to another. Then here Jayoon, Jayoon. Now I am in Jaeyun. Oh, I didn't make his home directory. Yeah, one thing that I missed was so who? It's Jaeyun or what? Exit. VBOXUSER. Anyway, the user is, I believe user is created. How do we know user is created? Then you can see cd etc, and then there is a password files. So if we want to see tail password, then see here Jaeyun2. That was created when this Ubuntu was first created, and then this is created today right now. Jaeyun 100 and 100, and in the group 1004, and name is Jaeyun. Home is home Jaeyun. Okay. So it is created. Password. We set the password. This is sudo things. Permission in Linux. So limiting unauthorized access to your directories and files. And files is very important to concern all Linux. Consequences of unauthorized access, they can do so many things illegally. So access control is pictorially when user wants to request do some actions, then there is a policy applied to that access control check, and then decision is made. Then it'll allow or deny this action request. So permissions, file or directory permissions, read or write actions. That is the actions that we looked at. And the users, there is a user, there's an owner, and a group, and others, publicly and everyone in the systems. So if you want to change it, if you want to change the access permission of a file or directory, then you can use a ch mode. This is a command. Change mode followed by who. So you or group or other or all. And operations read write or operations is this change mode. Change the operations of change mode itself. Are you going to add new permission, or are you going to remove a permission? Are you going to set the permissions, plus, minus, and equals? And permission itself, read, write, or execution. And then file name. So once it is set, then user subject, and then objects, files, and then permission. So this permission describes who is allowed to what action on what objects, allowed to read a particular file, for example. So the example of that command is chmod to group G. You want to add read write permission about this object. So this group can read write these files. All others can execute these files. Group cannot write these files. This is remove. If you want to set, then others or group and all read and write that files. Read and execute that files. So rather than using these things, we can use a number systems. This is more handy. So read is number 4, write is number 2, and execute is number 1. So any combination of those, you can say in, for example, oops, in change mode, if we want to say change mode here. And by the way, on Linux, I'm sorry, we have so much about the Linux command, but you don't. If you want to get some help on the command, then on Linux, you need to see manual and ch mode. Then you can see the manual of ch mode. That's nothing but change file mode bits. And then if you, this is a page by page. If you type Q, then this entire system, this manual is stopped. But if you want to see next page, then simply hit the space bar, then page by page. You may want to read the entire, but if you want to see any examples, then sometimes it provides some examples that you can see. Or Google, by the way, Google can do. Well, this one does not give you any examples. But anyway, if you want to do ch mode, then ch mode and option mode and file name is the last, right? So quit this. So we can change that. Okay, jun2. Where am I now? pwd. I'm in /etc. So I want to go back to my home directory by typing cd and enter. Then I can come back to me. Right now jun2. If I go to 230 directory, cd 230, then that, and permission. Right now I can read, write, but not executable, right? So how can I make myself executable? So if you want to make it executable, what you need to do is you need to set yourself and then group and others, right? Others only read, right? Read is permitted. The number is 4. If read and write together, 2 permissions is granted to group, then you need to combine these 2 numbers, 4 and 2 together, then number 6. And then myself, right now I can read and write, but no execution. But if you want to change myself so that I can execute this, then I need to combine all of those, read, write, and execute. What is the number? All of this, that's 7, right? So what I can do is ch mode 7, first number is for me. So I need to use all those 3 numbers. 4, 2, and 1, that's a 7. And then followed by group, read and write. I do not want to change it, but keep read and write. Then read and write means number 6. And then finally read only, which is number 4. So 764. And then file name is homework 5 and enter. It's not typo. So ch mode. Then it is changed. So when I see that the privileges, previously rw dash rw dash r dash dash. When I change it, the permission for this homework 5, remember that here for homework 5, by using 764, then myself, I can do read, write, and execute. And then others remains the same, rw dash, group, others, r dash dash, remains the same. Only myself wants to execute this. If it is executable, although this file is not executable files, but operating system does not know whether the content of this is executable. But if I enforce to say, hey, that is executable, then see the color changed. This is white. White means simply text files. It's not executable. But now, HW5, this is executable. We have a lot of executable files. If you go to bin directory, if you go to local bin directory, no such files. If you go to etc local, no, not etc, usr local bin directory, then there are a lot of there's no bin. See here, they're all executable files when I do bin directory /bin. So one of the things that you can see, remember here ls, that's what I am doing, right? This is a command. That's what I used here, ls. Same thing here, ls. This is an option, -l, long format. ls is executable. See here, x, so myself executable and group executable, others executable. That is this file is permitted ls, so that I can execute this ls. And then in the color code, that is green color in Linux, that is executable. Same thing here, executable, although it is not executable, right? That much you can. Why this is highlighted? Why this is highlighted? Okay. Here. Okay, fine. Here. All right. Yeah. There is a file. Change mode. The permission mode is changed, right? That can be seen by this command ls space -l. So if we want to change, for example, this HW5B read only, everybody only can read, no write. Then we can do chmod and read grant is only number 4, right? So we can do 4 for me, 4 my group, 4 others. So I can use the 444 and HW5B and then ls -l. Then I cannot write even by myself, right? I can read it. So I can read. Read means I can do more HW5B. I can read it, right? But if I want to write using VI HW5B, and if I want to add more, it says what? Warning, changing. This is a read-only file for me because I cannot do this, right? I have no permission. So I need to quit this. Okay, because I cannot, I do not have W permission. But HW5, PI HW5, I can edit, add this first line, and then I can save it. So right now, size of myself is 81. HW5B is 62 because this is 81. Previously 62. Now it is added more, right? So if I say more HW5, then this file has this added files. But HW5B, I was not able to write it because of this permissions. I think this, you don't have to worry about change group or change owner or only change chmod. That is what we can set the privileges using the numbers. Any question about this? Privileges, changes? As you can see, because of this, we can, in Linux, we can change it. By the way, if we do not want to read HW5 files by myself, I want to do one more. HW5B to HW5C. I want to copy it. So I have 3 files right now. Okay. The last file, HW5C, I want to make myself would not read. Okay. So how can I do that? chmod, and then I can execute it. I would say I can write it but not execute it. So 244. Myself, I can write it but not read. Group and others are available to read it. 244 and HW5C. Okay. So now you can see these files, even myself cannot read. So if I do more HW5C, can I read it or not? I should not read, right? It says more cannot open HW5C, permission denied. So even by myself, I cannot read it because there's no permits, right? All right. You can change these settings for group and others also, but group and we do not have groups and others many users, so we don't do that. Another thing, finally, copies, SCP, secure copy, then manual SCP. Let me see if we have a manual SCP, copy and source and target. So let's try if it is possible. SCP source HW5B HW5, and then this guy BBOXUSER. Probably, I'm not sure. Okay, so IP address. So my address is 10.0.2.5. So not J. What is the user ID here? User ID. Who? VBox user. VBox. VBox user at 10.0.2.5. 10.0.2.5. I want to copy it. This is not copied over there. This is by itself. There maybe this is another file name, I guess. See, there is another file. Oops. Yeah, there is another file name. So this is not working. The source and targets doesn't go to others. This is a good copy between hosts on a network. So it should work between hosts. want to see if there is an example. Probably there is no examples. But we can see here another host. How to use SCP to transfer remote host. SCP user 1, that's what we did. First to open the channel SCP-P. Okay, SCP is something is more work needed, but we do not do that. That is not the topics that we need to do today. So we do only the privileges. Okay. Any questions for tonight's hands-on that we looked at the permissions, change the permissions using chmod, and a little bit of demonstrations in what case that we can do, or in another case we cannot because of that permissions.
No, it's all good for me.
All right. If we do not have any question, then I'll stop sharing. All right. So we have 4 students only. I'm not sure where are the students right now. All right. Thank you for coming remotely today. And I am going to see you next week at Manhattan 425. Around 6:15. Please come to that classroom by that time. In that way, you do not lose much time. Although I give you only, as I said, I give you 90 minutes exam time, but the difficulty of the questions is only worth 45 minutes. You still can use your time. But please be there on time. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. All right, one thing that I want to add into the lecture. Remember that we created a user. The new user's name is John Yoon, and user ID is JYOON. So when I start this VM host, then you may be able to see the previously this host has only one user. That user was created the time of installation. Now we created it today. So when I restart this VM host, then you can see both of those. So J-Yoon2 and this is John Yoon. This is the name and the real ID is J-Yoon. So my ID here is J, and password is J-Yoon.